Like from a new franchisee, there's probably, oh my God.
Like,
You know, when the presenter
is that
doesn't put
your
their
phone?
own phone on silent. It's not even
Brilliant.
it's not even a number. Welcome to the next episode. Welcome to the next episode.
Thank you.
Welcome to the next episode. Today joining me, Ellie Hall. Hi, Ellie. Welcome to our little podcast.
Thank you very much.
You work for Martin and Co.
Yeah.
You're an MD. Like that comes with its own trials and tribulations. What do you do day to day? What is your actual role like?
So I guess it's such a varied role, really. You kind of get tagged with this kind of MD role, but in theory, you kind of do a bit of everything. I think our main thing is, and I've always been really, really passionate about helping people, really. Adding value to people, going in, looking at their business, seeing where we can help them. And I think that's the great thing being in franchising.
And is that something that you do with, like, from the onboarding stage when you take on, or a franchisee decides to come with the group, or?
Yeah, so I think really it is that journey, that everybody goes on. But I think the difference with franchising is, if you've run your own business, which I have many years ago, it's really lonely.
It can be.
And I think, there wasn't, obviously now there's lots of organisations to help support independent agents. We never had that before.
What did you do for your own business?
It was an estate agency.
Oh, were you? Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
oddly enough.
So, like, full career has been estate agency.
Yeah,
Sure.
literally. Yeah, started out as a YTS.
So I guess you've seen all areas of estate agency.
Yeah. And it's people say this and it's a bit cliche, but I think once you get into it, you absolutely love it. There's not many people that kind of diversify completely out of the industry. They might, go off and do different things, acquisitions or, training, but it is around the industry. So, yeah.
Was there a stage in a different role in your career you think, oh man, I'm loving this?
Do you know what? I think being a valuer, a lister, is the best job ever. You're out all day, meeting loads of fab people, seeing loads of gorgeous houses and some, not so gorgeous houses. But I think that was kind of when I remember, yeah, this is brilliant. I'm loving it.
And you said, like, helping people before. Like, is that part of the passion, the love for the job? Is that you genuinely? I mean, people always say, oh, you're dealing with people's biggest asset and this, that, and the other. But is it a people's business?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There is that. There's a bit of weight behind that old saying, people buy people. I think you do. I think people relate to people. And if you can have that relationship with people, I think that's the nice thing about being in the position I'm in now, because I'm seeing people who, as a franchisee, you kind of running your own business with a lot of, help and marketing and whatever from the franchisor, but ultimately it is your business. And it's great because I can see people in their business and I think, I remember that phase. I remember going through that and the challenges and at the time how difficult that is. So I think, there's not just me that does this. We've got a great ops team that are visiting people all the time. So I think that's where you can actually say, we're experienced, we've been through that. Or even the market conditions. I remember 2008, they're like, in every estate agent's mind. But I think that those experiences, you learn from that. You think, actually, what, if that comes about, which I don't think anything will be as drastic as that. But those more difficult times, you've got the experience and you can remember what it was like. So I think really, in my role, it's great that I can start looking back and helping people and say, yeah, I remember this part of the journey, or I know that seems difficult, but trust me.
What do the ops team do then? Are they literally in place to onboard and to help franchisees prosper? Is that how it all works?
Yeah, I think that's the difference. We're not in the corporate world where it's like everything's go, 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 go. It's actually, we're there to go out and the ops team are great at it. They go out and say, right, what can I help you with? What part of your business do you want to grow? If indeed you want to grow, how can we help you? Something that Gareth did. And it's quite interesting. If you look at our leadership team, we've all got different skills. So I work closely with Eric Walker and he's like compliance guru. And, that is his superpower.
Yeah, indeed.
I guess mine would be kind of acquisitions. And, I have done every job. I have run my own business. So And then we've got other people that are kind of, come from financial services, and some that are predominantly so actually, as a leadership team, the skills are
You're selling it to me.
pretty. I know. The more I think about it, I think, yeah, that's why I work there.
I really love that you've come on here, because we know each other only for the last couple of years, but you really don't. This is not comfy for you.
No,
Like,
hate it.
I mean, it's like a normal chat, but obviously not your average Wednesday with all the cameras and the lights and the stuff. But everyone's sort of got a bit used to video with Zoom and obviously the dreaded lockdown and whatnot. But would you like to do more, or why don't you, I guess, is a question.
I think it's a weird one, because I heavily promote video to all my franchisees, and I think it's just, the way forward. And in terms of learning style as well, I will watch videos. I'm that person. I'm not a reader of thousands of textbooks. That's just not me. But I'm really shy, and I'm really private as a person. And it's really not comfortable for me at all. I only came for the biscuits, if I'm being honest, and then I got roped into it. But so I do find it really uncomfortable. But I think, it's important that we kind of challenge ourselves. And this is completely out of my comfort zone, as you know. Hating every minute.
Yeah. And look, you don't always have to practice what you preach, because you can give great information about. I mean, why do you think video is important? You say you push it out to the network a little bit, or you believe in the importance of as a communication tool. Like, why do you think it ticks so many boxes, video?
I think because it's super engaging, isn't it? And the more videos, and I think we've all done it. So we follow people, we watch videos, and then you might see them at an event, and you're like, "Hi, how you doing?" And you've never met. But it's that thing, isn't it, about, we say that people buy people, and it's that relationship. And videos are so engaging that you start to feel something towards that person. And, you either trust them, or you think, actually, the go-to person for that information is that person. Because I've seen their podcasts, I've seen their videos. And I think from an industry perspective, I really love videos in terms of, if you're going to an appointment beforehand, an introduction video, because that vendor or that landlord, whoever you're going to meet, will almost feel like they've met you, because they've seen your face, they've heard you speak.
It's a thing, isn't it?
When you're walking up the driveway, they don't think, "Oh, who is this one?" It's like, "Oh, it's Ellie, or it's Matt, or whoever." So I think, it is really engaging and really important.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I know, like, everyone jokes that the kids are used to having phones strapped to their faces or their hands, and it's sort of normal to be on video. I mean, I'd have hated video cameras when I was at school, because not that we did anything rude or naughty or anything, but like, you just sort of, I mean, would you say you're anxious or scared about making video, or what's your sort of thought process? You don't mind me delving into it?
Yeah, do you know what? It's really hard to describe, because I'm actually one of those people that I don't actually care what people think. I am quite I am who I am, and I've done what I've done, and it is what it is. It doesn't bother me what people think. I think it's just, I don't like being center of attention. I am, I'm like the songwriter, not the singer. And if you've heard me sing, you'll know why I've said that. But that's always how I've been. And I suppose, when I started an agency many years ago, all of the people that I respected and not necessarily aspired to be, but that I thought, actually, that's the position I want, this wasn't the kind of thing they did. They got their positions because of their results. And, today you find that, and I see it on social media, and it's quite interesting. I think it's like a psychological thing, but there's lots of people saying, "I'm great, I'm great, I'm great." And I think, ultimately, you don't want to appear to be arrogant and a know-it-all, because ultimately, there's so much to learn, isn't there? Every day you think, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that." And it's that constant knowledge journey. I've got a friend who's a developer, and so he's got his own kind of YouTube channel and stuff. And I give him advice, or say that was awful, or actually that was a really good educational video. But what it's led me to do is follow other, and there's almost like a new generation of landlords coming through, because actually, regardless of prices, if you look at prices over a set, it's still a great investment. Property is still probably one of the best investments you're ever going to make. So there is this younger generation now that are actually thinking, and so there's lots of videos about get on the property ladder, how to then move and get, your 5th property after whatever. Some of them are a bit far-fetched, I have to say. But I think it's that education piece for younger people to say, this is a really good way to invest. So I think whilst that's the case now, you will start to see some younger people, hopefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll end up with like no property. I think recently, so as you know, I was ill for quite a long period of my life. And I've been asked so many times to, talk about it, and to, especially in kind of like charity work and stuff like that. And I've always been like, oh no, I don't want to do it. I don't like being in front of cameras. And I think it's come at a point where I've thought, actually, if I can help somebody from that perspective, just one person, that's worth doing, regardless of how I feel about being in front of a camera, or that is just insignificant compared to what I could do. But yeah, I've been asked quite a few times to do this type of thing, or,
what was wrong?
Oh, so basically I had kidney failure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Through, I was diabetic for a lot of years, and long story short, didn't, when I was very young, look after myself very well. But then, even though I did start to look after myself, it just went progressively worse. I got pneumonia twice during one winter, and the medication that they give you to treat pneumonia actually halved my kidney function.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then it got progressively worse, and then I basically had no kidney function. So I was on dialysis for 2 years.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then I needed a transplant.
Oh, so
I've had a double transplant, a kidney and a pancreas.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely didn't know detail on that. I knew you'd been poorly for some time, and did that change because you already had children by then, did you? Or
it affected that because I could only ever have one.
Right. Okay.
But I'm so lucky to have him. But yeah.
And I guess that totally changed your life, did it?
Totally. I think, it's a weird thing. Everyone always says to me, oh gosh, we didn't even know you was ill. Because I worked throughout my whole illness. I didn't have any time off.
Oh, really?
Because that got me through it. Like normality and being busy and getting on helped me. I think you kind of have, for me, not everyone is the same. I had 2 choices. I either stayed at home, cried and felt sorry for myself, or actually I thought, no, I'm going to give it the best that I've got, which is, I'm always really positive anyway. So, but I think it was before lockdown, they basically said, if you don't find a transplant, basically, if you don't find these organs, you're going to die. And I think that is like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And, you forget, don't you, how ill at the time, if you've been through it, you don't realise, because it's a progressive illness, you don't realise how ill you are until you're better.
Get used to it,
you get used to it. I mean, I remember going to a concert 'cause nothing stopped me. I was like, no, it's fine. Take my dialysis machine, like in the camper van on holiday. And,
Amazing.
I would do all of that. And well, I've been to concerts dialysising in the car. And it's horrendous because you literally have a tube in your stomach and you hook up to your like bags of fluid. I mean, my friends are like, you are insane. But I didn't want to miss out. Why should I miss out?
Why should you? Yeah.
And I think that was the thing at work. I didn't want anybody to know because I wouldn't want them to feel sorry for me.
Right.
And B, I just still wanted to do a really good job because that is what kept me going.
Yeah.
So, and then during lockdown, they basically turned off the double transplant list. So apparently, if you just have one transplant, it's major, but it's not as life-threatening. If you have a double transplant, you're literally on the operating theatre for like 16 to 20 hours.
Oh, you really?
So really high risk. So during lockdown, they turned it off.
So they stopped the waiting list?
Yes. Yeah, they wouldn't operate.
Oh,
so then I think they opened it as we kind of came out of lockdown in the September. They opened it for 4 weeks.
Right.
And I remember thinking, oh, don't even think about it because... So they said, look, you need to come and have all your tests done again to make sure you're healthy. So I did all that. And I remember it so vividly.
I can imagine.
Like literally, John had gone to work. I was shouting at Jasper to get ready because he was like dragging his heels for school. And I got a phone call. And I was like, hello, And the lady was like, oh, it's Oxford, because that's like one of the major transplant
Is it?
places in
Okay.
Europe, actually. They're like, we've actually got you some organs. I was like, sorry, what? Yeah, I've got you some organs. You need to come to, like, so matter of fact, like,
Yeah.
obviously they do
Well,
that
you weren't
job.
expecting the call,
No,
really.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So I rang John. I was like, I think you need to come back home. And he was like, why? I was like, oh, Oxford have rang. They've got me some organs. He was like, I'm sorry, what? So he came home, and honestly, all the way to the hospital, John couldn't come in with me because
Oh,
obviously
the
that,
COVID restrictions.
yeah. And I think when you're expecting a transplant, they normally have you in a reserve.
Right.
So, and they didn't tell me whether I was the reserve or not. And
Okay.
because it's the first call I got, I just assumed, because most people have like a practice run, if you like.
All right.
So they'll go as a reserve patient. So I thought, I'm the reserve, that's fine. It'll help me understand the process.
Sure, sure.
So having all these tests done, and I heard the lady next to me in the next room, and I was like, she's the one that's going to have the operation.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was like, oh, I'm so pleased for her. I was genuinely really wanting her to have it. I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, it got to like really late at night. John's ringing me. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. Like,
Oh,
I've
you've
not
just been
heard
in
it.
all
Just
day
been in
almost.
all day. I literally got there, I think at 9:30 in the morning. No, it must have been later, 10:30 in the morning. And yeah, I was just kind of like waiting there. And it was like 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And then she came in and said, you feeling okay? I was like, yeah. Like, am I going to go home? She was like, oh, no, there's just a bit of an issue the other end. I was like, okay. Still no thought
Yeah.
whatsoever. And then it got to about 1 a.m., I think. And she was like, right, they've arrived. We're going to prep you for theatre. I was like, what? Like me
Yeah,
now?
not lady next door.
Yeah. I was so like, couldn't believe it. And
Oh, but your heart skipped a
it was
beat.
totally, and then we went down I was, when you look back and how was I so calm?
Yeah.
But I went down to the theatre, and I remember it was a room full of women.
Right.
And she said, you've got an all-woman team today.
Go girl
Like,
power.
go girl power. Yeah, she was literally, they had like some great music on. And yeah, and then obviously I was asleep.
Yeah, cool. And you were
Woke
you were
up.
on for like 16 hours?
16 hours, yeah.
I mean, obviously you
Yeah.
don't realise that, but that's a long. Did they bring you back and then go under again, or is it
No,
all
just
the way
straight
through?
through. Yeah, straight through.
Hi, mate.
So
Like you said,
literally,
there's significant. If I'm asking
yeah,
a silly question because I don't know the answers, but significant risk to a double transplant, right? Over a
yeah.
single. Going through that and recovery, like we just literally, they were like, "Don't move."
So I woke up, and it's a really weird thing because obviously you've got literally a scar from there to there because
Wow.
literally done
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they don't take your old organs out, which is a bit weird. I thought they'd take them out, put the new ones in.
What?
They just leave them in there.
No way, you got 2 pancreases and
Yeah,
3 kidneys.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I
I
totally
mean,
didn't
2
know
don't
that.
work, but
Yeah,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it is literally like that. But I think they like, because they're dead,
It
because they're
just
not
sort of,
working, they just kind of,
okay.
yeah. You've got like a neckline in there. You've got like tubes coming out here, tubes coming. You're literally just
Wired
on
up.
earth and a
Yeah.
mask on. And because I couldn't eat, when I had to take my 50
It's
tablets,
really.
I couldn't keep them down.
Oh,
And it
cool.
got to the point where they said, if you don't eat something and keep it down, then we're going to have to put a feeding tube in because you can't keep these meds are anti-rejection meds.
Right.
So I remember thinking, I'm not having another tube. No way. And all these other bits were coming out as they were getting better. So I had this tiny bread roll and I ate it crumb by crumb throughout the whole day.
Oh, this is staying down.
Yeah, but as soon as kind of I could keep that down and then take
Yeah.
my meds, the
Because your body's been
improvement.
through a huge shock, right?
Yeah.
Like internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I was in like nearly 4 weeks, and it was hard because like John could visit me, but it's a 3.5 hour trip. So
Yeah.
he could visit me for an hour a day. That was it. No one else.
Oh, and you're going through the biggest thing that's ever happened to you, and you're in pain, and you're trying to recover, and you probably need your loved ones around you, right?
Yeah. But it was so weird because they gave me lots of anti-sickness drugs, which basically, I mean, I was talking to myself, I was talking to the TV, and I said in the end, you've got to stop these drugs. Like this is,
Just a bit
I'm
spaced out.
hallucinating big time. Like get me out of here. And they took me off those, and I felt more normal.
Yeah.
but it was the hardest time. But then when I could walk, because obviously you can't really walk,
Yeah.
when I could walk, then I was like, right, there's a rooftop garden.
Oh no.
I'm getting myself up there. And they were like, no, just walk to the end of the corridor, just walk. And as I got further and further, and I remember just kind of going out. Oh, God, I think about it now.
Oh,
It's like,
bless. Sorry.
yeah, no, no, no. I remember going out into this garden, and it was literally like amazing. It was
Yeah.
just like all the trees and yeah. And then I thought, this is like it. It's a new start to my new life.
Totally. Totally. Making
Uh-huh.
me go now. Sorry.
Um,
I guess that's it. It sounds like you as a person. The nurse was like, no, stay at the end of the corridor. And you're like, no, I'm getting to the
yeah,
roof
yeah,
because for your own personal redevelopment, I
yeah.
guess.
And also, you know what? Let's just remember the really important thing here. Somebody at some point had a conversation that said, if anything happens to me, I want other people to have a second chance at life.
Yeah.
So I think, going out and breathing air and seeing the trees, and it was like autumn,
Yeah.
which is one of my most favorite seasons. I was like, this is it. This is a second chance at life. And I think from that makes you think about things really differently. It's incredible. Yeah. You just, everything, you appreciate everything. And as I kind of got home and I started walking a bit further,
Yeah.
like doing more and more things, and just, going to the park with Jasper and not sitting watching John run around with him. Like I could do that now.
Yeah.
And it's honestly phenomenal. I just feel so blessed that I've got that chance.
Yeah. And I mean, that's crazy. That's mind blowing. Thanks for telling me that as
That's
well.
okay.
Like, sorry for crying back at you.
No.
So, do you take that into work a little bit, and not to make it about work, but like, are problems now a little bit less?
Yeah.
Because you've been through this crazy experience, and home life as well. Is it sometimes like, do you know what? Don't worry about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think before I wasn't always a massive worrier. I've always been very positive. I've always been like, whatever happens, I'm a survivor and we'll make it right. It'll be fine. Like, what's the worst that can happen? So I've always been very optimistic. But now I'm not very sympathetic. If someone's got a cold and they're moaning, oh, get a grip. It's a cold.
Yeah, because you're like,
I'm like,
check my back
hello.
now.
No, I'm not, but I'm a bit,
Well, I can
come on,
imagine
guys.
because a cold to you is so low level illness compared to what you've been through.
I know. But I think, it makes you appreciate a lot of things more, people more, Doesn't matter how much money I had, I couldn't change what position I was in.
Yeah,
But the people that get you through that and through the journey are what's important.
yeah,
And I think, at work, ultimately, if I can just add a bit of help here, make somebody, get to their goals or whatever it might be, I think for me, that's what the job's about now. It's not
yeah.
about, oh, I want to climb this massive career ladder and get, more and more money. It's not about that. It's about
give it back
actually
and
being
helping.
happy, giving back, and enjoying it, because we're here for a short time, right? You're here for a good time.
That phrase has never landed so hard with me.
I know, I know. So I just make the most of every opportunity. I'm thankful, and I think it does make you thankful.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
appreciate little things, and actually now I appreciate a lot more. So
That's
yeah.
amazing.
But so if, I've got a pitch, the person that saved me saved 7 people's lives or made 7 people's lives better.
Really? What? Like literally?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And you think, wow, actually, I would rather leave that,
Yeah.
and give people the opportunity I've had. So I think it's just that education really of, families of saying, think about this. You have got the right to object, but actually, would your loved one who already has once said they want to be an organ donor, would you not want them to have helped all these people?
I mean, possibly one of the best pieces of help or gifts someone can give, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you say thank you, right? So you have an opportunity as a kind of recipient to write to the family.
Right. Okay.
And it took me a long time, actually, because every time I wanted to write something, I'd be like this.
Yeah, just bring
Because
it
how do you say thank you for that? And I wanted to write something that was really heartfelt. And I found a poem actually, and I sent it to them. Now they have an opportunity to contact you or not,
right.
and they haven't,
Oh,
unfortunately.
really?
But it,
Yeah.
you know, I was very conscious. I didn't want to do it at Christmas time because I didn't. That's going to be a big time for them.
Yeah,
That's a
sure.
loss. So I didn't want to do that. And ultimately, you know, they could have had to have write 7 letters back or whatever.
Yeah,
But
fair
I
point,
just
fair point.
think as long as they know like what
Yeah.
it's meant to me, then I'm good with that. You know, I know brief details. I know it was a man. I know he was in his early 40s.
Oh, so
That's
he
all
was
I
young
know.
as well. So I
Yeah,
guess what you're saying there is that maybe they're not over that yet enough to maybe get in
maybe
touch with.
not. Yeah,
I don't know whether I'm actually, or like you say, I'm now a registered donor and then I have to opt out, right?
yeah.
But is there stuff where can I go and get a
Yes, you can.
form and actually
Absolutely.
be a donor?
Yeah, I'm sure you can do it online.
Essentially, like, you know, whether you're religious or not, it's earth to earth, dust to dust, ashes to
Mm.
ashes, or whatever the phrase is. And you become, you know, there's no use for those
No.
super useful things
And
anymore.
ultimately, you know, again, depending on what you believe in, it's a body right. It's a carrier
Yeah.
of your person.
Yeah.
And you know, some people still won't want to do it, and that's it's their thing, isn't it? It's their
Yeah.
choice. But I just think now I'm like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. When you think about it, it's just absolutely incredible.
Wow.
But yeah, so
Oh, thanks.
living proof.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But like you say, you're full of beans and you've got a super positive outlook. And thanks for sharing that with me as well. Like,
It's
because
okay. I
yeah.
hadn't thought I was going to, but there you go.
Right, we've probably been chatting for ages.
We have.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm
That's
pleased I
quite
came
all
now.
right.
Still not got the biscuit, but pleased I came.
I'll go to the shop and get you some biscuits. Then.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
See you.